This man was a student of the game, and he ended up becoming one of the most brilliant professors of the damn game. What's going on, everybody? You're right on time for another ride on the Groove Line with your host, Chris Stevens. Hopefully you all are doing well out there. This is day number 10 of the BMM 30 series, and it's off the beaten path. It's off schedule. Had a couple other episodes in the tuck I wanted to put on, but we're going to push those to the side in order to honor a legend today. If you guys are just finding out, or if you didn't know already, Sly Stone, he of Sly and the Family Stone fame, died Monday at the age of 82, surrounded by his loved ones and family, as announced on his social media accounts. Had a bunch of health issues that were weighing him down for a while, but the good news is that Sly was able to see how much he meant to people through Questlove's documentary, Sly Lives, The Burden of Black Genius. Something I still need to watch. I just didn't feel like paying for Hulu. I just feel like paying for Hulu is ridiculous, but I'll do it for Sly and then report back with a review of the documentary. But everything you think you know about Black music from the late 60s all the way up until 2025, please know that comes off of the tree of one Sylvester Stewart. That's his government name, by the way. And the funny, his Unsung episode, which is 13 years in the can now, my goodness. It was so funny because they said they want his record company wanted him to be Sly Sloan at first. He's like, oh my God, it just don't fit. He was like, just call me Stone. Just let it be Stone. So we had Sly and the Family Stone. You know, he had his brother Freddie, his sister Rose, Larry Graham on bass, Greg Rico on drums, Jerry Martini and Cynthia Robinson on horns. It was, in the truest sense, a family band in the way Sly wanted it to be a family band. Because when you think about the late 1960s, you got turmoil. Pretty much like in 2025, you got turmoil right now of a racial nature, of an economic nature, of a gender nature. Like, this country has been fighting itself since the day it began. And I feel like this is the time that it finally actually all just rips beyond repair. You could probably make that argument several generations ago. But Sly wanted to make something different. And when you take into account that there were two women in the band, you had a white drummer, a white horn player, and you had three other black guys. You put those seven people together, and you've got what he wanted to be in the world family, the American family, and it worked. And that's why I feel like, there's a difference between James and Sly, because yeah, there are Latino James Brown fans, there are white James Brown fans, there are Asian James Brown fans. They came along a little later. They got with the program a little bit later. Sly had everybody hooked from the word go, at least with Dance to the Music. The first album didn't do very well. But when Dance to the Music dropped in 1967, it literally was something that no one could have accounted for, something that no one could name. You can't put a genre on it. You can't put a sound on it. You can't put a label on it. It's just good damn music. And when you think about it, it's interesting because they all introduce each other, in 3 minutes. Freddie talks about, him playing the guitar. Larry Graham talks about how he's going to play the bass. Greg Rico is going to talk about how he's going to play the drums. Cynthia Robinson introduces herself and Jerry Martini and Sly on the keyboards. And they just go berserk for 3 minutes. And I don't know if you can really go berserk for 3 minutes, but you can definitely change a genre or make a sound or introduce yourself in 3 minutes. And that's what Sly and the Family Stone did with Dance to the Music. And then, of course, it only gets better from there with Stand, which gave us Everyday People. Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again. One of my personal favorites, Hot Fun in the Summertime. That song has a personal meaning. But yeah, it was just one of those songs. I mean, Sly was just one of those people that changed the way we thought of music from a black perspective, from a rock perspective, from a funk perspective, from an R&B perspective, from a soul perspective. Sly changed everything. When you think about just how many people were influenced by him, you think of Prince, you think of George Clinton, you think of any band in the 1970s. I mean, for crying out loud, Confunction, Tower of Power, right there in the Bay Area. I mean, you could argue that Tower Power had come along before Sly, but they definitely thrived after Sly. And then Confunction noticing what Sly was doing, what Tower Power was doing, and then eventually Larry Graham with Graham Central Station was doing. He was like, "Oh man, we can do this." And Confunction is one of my favorite bands. So, but you don't have that all-inclusive sound. You don't have that genre bending mentality, where you can bend those 12 notes of Western music to your will. Sly was one of the ones that could absolutely bend those 12 Western notes to whatever the hell he wanted it to do. And we are all better off for it. Like, when you think about how psychedelic soul just became the next big thing after Dance to the Music, and then in the midst of Everyday People and Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself and all of that. And you think about how Norman Whitfield kind of sort of took that sound and made it his own. He gave the Temptations Cloud 9, and eventually Papa was a Rolling Stone and all of those type of things. And you think about how a lot of R&B artists started to want that grittier, gut bucket, sound, that that raw energy. And it honestly, you could count the Isley Brothers in that too. Because when you listen to This Heart of Mine Is Weak for You in 1966, and then you listen to It's Her Thing in 1969, it's two different bands. And then when the Isley Brothers went on to do the 3+3 thing in the 70s, you can absolutely hear those power ballads, those hard rock chords, and different things of that nature when you listen to the Funkadelic stuff, especially the early Funkadelic stuff. I'm not talking about One Nation Under a Groove. I'm not talking about Not Just Knee Deep. I'm talking Maggot Brain. I'm talking America Eats Its Young. I'm talking Cosmic Slop. I'm talking Standing on the Verge of Getting On. You listen to those 4 records and you hear Sly all day long. You can actually go back to the original 2 Funkadelic albums, Free Your Mind and Your Ass Will Follow, and Self-Titled, and you can hear, especially more so on Free Your Mind and Your Ass Will Follow. Self-Titled Funkadelic album, which was their debut, that sounded just a little bit more Parliament-esque. But Free Your Mind and Your Ass Will Follow was definitely sort of off the Sly tree. And then, of course, by the time we get to the end of the 70s, you get this eccentric, diminutive kid from Minneapolis named Prince Rogers Nelson, who was influenced by Sly, by James Brown, by Joni Mitchell. And, he just took that mantle and ran with it. Like, you can listen to 1999 and think that that's something that Sly would have done. The whole album, by the way. I mean, the title track, yes. But when you have things like Dance Music, Sex, Romance, when you have Lady Cab Driver, all the other great songs on that album, you just Little Red Corvette, which is my Prince all-time favorite. Like, you can hear Sly doing some of that stuff. And it's just, he was just so important to what our music became. And he had his problems. I mean, he had drug problems. He had problems, keeping the band together. He had his personal issues, of course. But you can't deny that Sly Stone's influence. Let's try it again. You can't deny that Sly Stone's influence is the reason we enjoy black music the way we enjoy it today. Or all music for that matter. I mean, yeah, Sly, influenced the whole crew of funk people, a lot of R&B bands, a lot of soul bands, but a lot of rock bands too definitely took their sound from Sly, that energy, that vibe, that influence. And again, we are all better off for having Sly and the Family Stone and Sly himself, come across our timelines as human beings. So if you're not familiar with Sly and the Family Stone, like, you have a few albums that you can go off of. You can go off of Dance to the Music. You can go off of A Whole New Thing. You can go off of Stand. You can definitely go off There's a Riot Going On. Like, There's a Riot Going On. It's kind of like the answer to Marvin's What's Going On. Sly and them is the answer. Marvin asked, What's going on? What's going on? Sly said, There's a riot going on. And I mean, there's a riot going on in this country as we speak. So you have to really be in key and in tune with what Sly was able to bring to the table. And there was so much that he brought to the table, as a guitarist, as a keyboardist, as a songwriter, as an arranger, as a creative thinker. He just had it all, man. He just had everything down. And it was so unfortunate the way his life just sort of tapered off into the end of the 70s and the beginning of the 80s, because it was just like, where do you go for guidance when you are the one that is responsible for all of these changes. It ain't easy. It couldn't have been easy on him. I mean, that's when the drugs started to get out of control. That's when, all the personal problems, with his wives and his, loved ones got out of control. And of course, there was a while for a time he was living in a camper van. So it was just like hard on him. But I hope that wherever his spirit is, he knows that his influence is just massive. Am I gonna go ahead and say Sly Stone is the most influential musician of all time? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. You don't have Stevie Wonder declaring his independence without some motivation from Sly. Because when you listen to how Signed, Sealed, and Delivered and Where I'm Coming From sort of phase into this more rock funk based thing on Talking Book, and then the bluesier side on Intervisions, and then every on and on down the line, the classic, in Stevie's classic era, Sly influenced everybody. You don't get a lot of the music that you enjoy without Sly Stone and Sly and the Family Stone. And I felt like it was important to just talk about his influence, to talk about how he created a sound that couldn't be defined, and how everyone else was like, wow, we don't have to stick to the same format. We can do something different. We can create new sounds. We can create new songs. We can look at this music thing a different way. And that's something that a lot of people, I guess, needed somebody to open the door for them. You can make the argument that there have been people opening doors in music long before Sly Stone did, but Sly opened the door to a different plane entirely. And I hope that wherever his spirit is, he understands that we love him and appreciate him, and we thank him for redefining not just Black music, but music, period. You don't get, again, I keep saying it, but it's just so hard to believe that this dude, I keep saying it, but it's just so hard to believe that this dude just created a whole new sound without even trying to create a sound. Like, he was just out there trying to make music. I mean, Clive Davis told him, give me something pop, give me something commercial. And you get Dance to the Music, which is probably the least pop commercial thing that you can get. And people have been copying that sound for damn near 60 years. That's genius. I mean, people may resist genius labels for certain people. People may overuse them for sure. People overuse the genius label for sure. But with Sly, feels like it undersells him. Because that man was something a little bit more than genius. That man was something a little bit more than brilliant. That something was a little bit more than eccentric. That man was something a little bit more than, he was just something more than anything that we think we know about music. You're just not going to convince me that we weren't blessed when Sly decided to say, all right, I'm going to try this, this band thing. And it's so crazy because Sly had so many different careers before Dance to the Music, really blew up. He was a radio DJ, for crying out loud. The Whispers, they credit Sly all the time with breaking them in the Bay Area. He wrote songs for other people. He wrote a song called Come On and Swim for a dude named Bobby Freeman, bought his parents a house. So he wasn't new to it. He was true to it. And when he decided to go off and do his own thing, studying, he went to study music at a music university. He learned theory and composition and all of that. Like, this man was a student of the game, and he ended up becoming one of the most brilliant professors of the damn game. It's unbelievable. And I just hope that we never lose sight of how important Sly Stone was, not just to Black music, but music, period. The man was something else. He was something special. He was something different. He was a genius. He was something else. He was something above genius. We're just all better for having Sly create music and create a path for people to follow. And may he rest in peace. Condolences to his loved ones, his bandmates, the surviving bandmates, and everyone that ever worked with him. We lost a real one today, and hopefully we just continue to remember him for the great music and the trendsetter that he was, because, again, you just don't get the music that we enjoy today without Sly Stone. Wherever his spirit is, may it fly free. And that's going to do it for day 10 of the BMM 30 series here on the Groove Line. Greatly appreciate y'all. We will get back to brass business tomorrow with our BMM 30 series, talking about different artists, different genres, different music, different songs, albums, you name it, we'll cover it. Be sure to subscribe, tap the notification bells, and get notified of all the new content that drops on this channel. Don't forget to like and comment on the videos so the algorithm can pop and this channel and this podcast can continue to grow. So thank you all for watching and riding with me on this. And thank you for riding with me on the Groove Line. Greatly appreciate y'all. Until the next time we ride, y'all be good or be good at it. Rest in peace, Sly.